The Lightning Dragon King never imagined that his end would not come from overwhelming power, but from hesitation. A hesitation born from the fragile existence of a woman who had touched his heart. Ragna, battered and exhausted, had already surpassed the limits of a human body. His veins burned like fire, his muscles screamed in agony, but his spirit stood unshaken. He was prepared to unleash his deadliest move, Dragon Flash, a strike faster than lightning, sharp enough to slice even the Dragon King himself. To the Dragon King, this was a reckless gamble. He remembered how Ragna's body once failed to withstand the attack, collapsing into ruin after a single use. In his arrogant eyes, it was nothing but a suicidal technique, a blade that harmed its wielder more than its enemy. Confident that he could evade it once again, the king prepared to counterattack, smug in his belief that time itself was on his side. But kings, even dragons, have weaknesses, and in that instant, his weakness was exposed. From the battlefield's edge came a desperate cry, Mathia calling Camus' name. That voice pierced through the Dragon King's pride and into Ragna's heart. He could not hesitate. Not anymore. Fueled by burning resolve, Ragna fused every ounce of strength within him. The melting flames of his sword, the thunderous rage of dragon-slaying magic, and the unshakable will of a warrior who refused to fall. His body pushed beyond its limit, surpassing even the blinding speed of lightning. For a heartbeat, he approached the impossible, the speed of light itself. And then, he did the unthinkable. Not one dragon flash, but a double dragon flash. The heavens roared. The ground shattered. Steel clashed with divine scales as Ragna's blade carved across the sky. For centuries, the Dragon King had reigned unchallenged, stealing powers, crushing foes, and ruling as the embodiment of unstoppable speed. Yet, in the cruelest twist of fate, he now fell victim to the very force he had mastered, defeat by speed itself. Bleeding, broken, and disbelieving, the Dragon King finally admitted the truth. Ragna's power was not just in his sword, it was his willpower. Unyielding, indestructible, a flame that no god, no dragon could ever steal. With a final desperate swing, Ragna severed fate itself, and the Lightning Dragon King collapsed. But even in death, the monster's fury remained. He unleashed one last desperate strike, a blast that would have consumed Ragna entirely. Yet, in that moment of despair, salvation arrived. The Silver Princess's shield, forged from starlight, manifested to intercept the fatal blow. Its radiance swallowed the darkness, sparing Ragna from certain death. Still, victory demanded a price. Camus was gone. Mathia's heart shattered as the reality struck her. She clutched the emptiness where her comrade once stood, her voice trembling with grief. Yet within her despair, something extraordinary awakened. The dormant magic within her soul stirred to life, a power feared and forbidden. The magic, to turn back time itself. With trembling hands, she realized she could change it all. She could undo the tragedy, erase their losses, and bring back the ones they loved. For a fleeting moment, hope flickered in her heart. But deep down, she understood the truth. To twist time for her own wishes could unravel the world itself. To defy fate for selfish desire could doom countless others. And so, with tears streaming down her face, she let the miracle slip away. Her life flickered like a candle in the wind. Memories returned. Camus' laughter, his promise at the cliffside, the day he told her she was more than a tool, that she was allowed to live, to love, and to be loved. That promise, that bond, was her light. Gods may have abandoned her, but Camus never did. Even in death, his shadow lingered beside her, a reminder that she was never truly alone. She whispered a vow into the silence. She would wait. No matter how long it took, no matter how many centuries passed, she would wait until the day Camus returned to free her from the chains of fate. The battle ended in what could only be called a hollow victory. The Dragon King was slain, yet the cost was unbearable. Ragna stood broken, his comrades fallen, his body battered nearly beyond repair. There was no triumph in his heart, only sorrow. But sorrow was not regret. Regret would dishonor the dead, and so he chose to carry the weight of loss and to march forward, no matter how heavy his steps became. For as long as dragons lived, his blade would never rest. Even if he stood alone at the end of the world, he would keep moving forward until every last dragon was slain. With Faye's healing, his wounds began to mend, though his spirit remained scarred. He was carried to the ward, where his weary eyes found her, the Silver Princess. Peaceful, lying upon her bed, the poison within her body cleansed, her wounds healed. She looked as though she were simply sleeping, untouched by the horrors of war. Yet no one could say when she would awaken. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps never. But Ragna believed. He had to believe. One day she would open her eyes, and when she did, she would forge the true silver sword, the blade destined not just to slay dragons, but to pierce the heavens themselves and challenge the gods. Until that day came, Ragna's journey would not end, because though the Lightning Dragon King had fallen, the war had only just begun. But this belief is shattered. In a vision, the protagonist sees a horrifying future. He sees the town engulfed in a sea of fire. He sees Leo, his body pierced by countless bloody tentacles, defeated and dying. A voice echoes from the vision, the voice of his future self, warning him that time is running out. This nightmare haunts him. To protect Leo, he begins training relentlessly, pushing his body past its limits day and night. He becomes obsessed with the vision, wondering if it was real and who the mysterious man was. Leo notices his friend's desperation, but the protagonist can't explain the source of his fear. Leo saved him from a life of loneliness. Now, he felt a desperate need to be the one to save Leo. The dark prophecy begins to unfold. A neighboring city, a place that hadn't seen a dragon attack in over a decade, is annihilated overnight. An immense swarm of dragons had descended upon it. A chilling realization dawns on the protagonist. He pleads with Leo to run, to escape the town. But it's too late. Just like in his dream, the sky turns red and their own town is consumed by fire. Dragons swarm from all directions. Amidst the chaos, a new figure appears, a humanoid creature, bathed in blood. It is an upper-rank dragon, a being of immense power. The protagonist watches in horror as it effortlessly tears through the town's defenders. He knows, with absolute certainty, this is the monster that will kill Leo. He desperately launches a sneak attack, but his sword shatters against the creature's skin. He is swatted away, thrown into a river, broken and defeated. As he loses consciousness, he sees himself in the future. A man who lost Leo and dedicated his life to vengeance, gaining unparalleled strength but remaining utterly alone. Music swells with power and emotion. Narrator: in this moment between life and death, he meets him, his future self, a man who could rival the Dragon King, but had nothing left to protect. "You can't save him like this," the future warrior says, his voice filled with regret. "To protect what you love, you must become stronger than anyone else." He looks at his younger self and makes a final decision. "I have this power, but nothing left to use it for. So, I'll give it to you." He plunges his own silver sword into the young protagonist's body. In that instant, a lifetime of battle, of pain, of loss, and of power flows into him. Decades of swordsmanship, mastered to perfection. 10 years of warfare, making the sword an extension of his body. 5 years of fusing his own flesh with the silver, becoming a living weapon. And another decade of pushing beyond every human limit. The protagonist opens his eyes. The dragons around him are instantly frozen solid. He has inherited it all. The ultimate dragon-slaying technique, forged through a lifetime of suffering. He stands before the upper-rank dragon. The creature, once so arrogant, now feels an overwhelming pressure, a primal fear it has only ever felt in the presence of its godlike king. It cannot believe that a mere human could radiate such terrifying power. The dragon reveals the absurd reason for the invasion. The god of the blood kin, his master, was fond of a certain cake shop in the eastern city. When that shop went out of business, the god flew into a rage and ordered the entire country to be destroyed. Human lives were nothing more than a plaything for a bored deity. But that deity did not account for this. The protagonist moves. In a flash, the battle is over. The unbeatable dragon is annihilated. He rushes to Leo's side. He did it. He saved him. He changed the future. As Leo is saved, the future protagonist, his purpose fulfilled, fades away with a peaceful smile. But this incredible power comes with a price. The young protagonist, having accepted a power his body was never meant to hold, is destined to live a short life. He collapses, exhausted. But as he falls, the world twists once more. The forest around them comes alive, the trees themselves turning into monsters. The gears of fate, once stopped, begin to grind forward again. A god's decree is absolute, and the destruction of their country has only just begun. The Dragon Slayer's battle was won, but the war for survival was far from over.